Hi, I'm Chad. That's Buff. Brad. Deb. Jacob. And you're watching Square Body Stuff. Good morning, everybody. It is what, day 3 of this Big Booty Judy greatness. It's Make Big Booty Judy Great Again. But we are still making good headway. Buff and I were out here earlier this morning trying to just peck away at some smaller stuff. He's still finishing up wiring for the sniper setup. Kind of at a standstill on the wiring for the autometer gauges, I think. Right, Jacob?
We've got to have power to do that.
We got to have power to do that, but we got to get other stuff done. I think Brad's already started working on some of the exhaust. I had to take some time this morning to edit the last video from last night because I just couldn't stay up last night to get it done last night. So got it done this morning. So I think Brad was starting to work on the exhaust a little bit. I heard something going on while I was editing the video. Sawzall was going, so I don't know. Buff may have been using Sawzall to do some wiring for this sniper. You never know with him. We got the coolers going still yet. It's already about 82 degrees in here. It's not bad. Humidity level seems to be a little bit lower today. I think the temperature, overall temperature today is going to be lower. We've kind of got an overcast sky, so that's going to keep the radiant heat off the roof. So it might be a little better day today. Got my beard blowing in the wind. It's kind of magical. Dogs, I think they just kind of wore themselves out yesterday. They've been playing pretty hard already this morning, but they're not as hot and heavy with it like they were yesterday. Brad's doing Brad stuff under the truck right now. I'm supposed to be under there helping him. That was the plan, but you know, I gotta make video. But yeah, I'm gonna crawl under there, see what we got going on the exhaust. And I'm not sure how far he's wanting to go out with it, but we got a lot of real estate under there. He's got an exhaust kit with a bunch of different bins and everything, so it should be pretty easy to make it happen however we want it to make it happen. But yeah, once we get all that done, we'll be trying to fire it up, get the sniper and dash everything sorted out before we move on to the gear vendors. Well, the progress is still being made. It just doesn't look like there's a lot of progress being made. It's just the wiring. So, but Buff's been busy doing his Buff stuff. Have to be really slow when I say those two words together. You don't want to mispronounce that. Buff stuff. Woo!
I'm gonna get me a shirt that says I like Buff stuff.
I like Buff stuff. Well, that went south pretty quick. Welcome to Square Body Stuff. What's Brad doing? He's getting some brackets. Alternator, yeah, so we can see if that belt's gonna work. Since we deleted the smog pump, we're gonna have to find a different serpentine belt, which we got a different one that's shorter, but we're not sure if it's gonna be the right size. That's what Brad's working on. Buff's wiring. Jacob's still wiring on the dash. The other thing that Brad's been working on is getting some exhaust fit up. I got it welded up because I'm pretty much that guy in the shop that kind of wanders around and looks busy but not really doing anything. But they call that the supervisor, right? Yeah, I'm the supervisor, shop supervisor. Well, I don't know about expert. I don't even know what the subject matter is. Square body trucks. Well, I do know a thing or two about them. But just want to give you guys an update on where we're at. Getting closer. Buff says like 2 minutes he'll have everything wired up, ready to go. We still got a fuel pump we need to put in. I think I might crawl in there and start getting the heat shields off, get ready to start mounting a fuel pump.
We've got 12 volts in the gauges now. fuel pump wire is ran to where it needs to go.
Okay.
High beam wire, left and right turn signal indicators, and I believe that's about it.
Sweet. And Jacob's also going to wire in everything for the under dash for the gear vendors. That way all the wires are ran together and run by the same guy. Instead of me going in there and cobbling up his mess, we'll just have one mess instead of two messes. Huh?
Where's the nitrous?
Nitrous?
We weren't supposed to tell anybody that till the end.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where we're at on this project. And it's not as hot today. It's been actually a little nicer. All right, project update. Yeah, it's already almost getting dark. Weather update on this is, you know, it's a little cooler because the rain's kind of moved in. That's making everybody a little more chipper. We've had some ups and then some downs and then some more downs, but we're still up even though we're down. And Brad, I'll put this out there, Brad is getting a VIP treatment because he is actually getting parts out of the Field of Dreams. And yeah, I don't let parts go very often because I'm a hoarder and they're my square body parts. But Judy needs them. Very, very, very fair. So I've got this guy, which if you're not familiar with this guy, this is the inlet for the air cleaner. Well, Big Booty Judy had some big, I don't even know where it's at right now. It's kind of a big deal. It went down and up and to keep the rain from going up in the intake and all that stuff.
We don't care.
We want to get rid of that. He's wanting to run the factory air cleaner, which is really cool. I mean, stuff's kind of spread out right now. Oh, there it is. He's got the factory air cleaner all cleaned up. And got the sticker, yeah, sticker there. Trying to keep my grubby fingers off of it because it's nice and clean and painted. And we've got some of this stuff going on that he's master fabricated. Yeah, it looks a little bit hokey, but it's going to do the job. But in order to hook that to the radiator support, we got to have one of these guys. So I went up to Field of Dreams and said, "Man, I got you. I've got one of these guys, and we'll cut the end of this off, the flat piece, so he's going to have actual ram air going into it." But now that said, let me go over the ups and downs of our progress. Yeah, we've had intake on. Wiring is pretty much done. Jacob and Buff have been busting it all day to try to get this wiring done. I kind of piddled around with a few things, wet a little bit exhaust, and just kind of done some supervision. I did get underneath the truck and I wired and plumbed the fuel pump. And yes, we're running an inline fuel pump that was supplied with the kit. We do understand that's not the best. That's not the best for this situation. In tank pumps would be the best for this, but we don't have that right now.
But we are taking donations for dual fuel tanks.
Yes.
With in-pump tanks.
Yes, hit up
Yeah.
BNCO Designs or me, Square Body Stuff, and then I'll make sure it gets to Brad. Unless I hit it with a sniper fuel system before. Anyway, yeah, we'll make sure Brad gets it. But yeah, we're running just a single inline fuel pump. We know it's not the best, but it's what we got. It's what we're going to try to get this truck. It'll last long enough to get him back to Minnesota, hopefully. He made it down here on a really questionable mechanical fuel pump. So
methanol didn't solve.
yeah, a little methanol. I don't think I mentioned that at the dyno session, the first video of this whole series. We were having issues with this truck starting once we got hooked up to the dyno, and the only fuel we had there was some methanol. So we gave old Big Booty Judy a snort of meth, and she woke right up. Made a dyno run. But all right, back to where we're at now. I've got the fuel pump wired up, plumbed in, everything's good, the best we could do it. But I'm gonna throw Jacob under the bus. But don't bash the kid too much. Yeah, it's probably a short bus too, but you know, this kid Jacob, that guy right there, with Busted Grill Garage. He's one of us a lot of years ago. He's learning. And I will take partial credit for this situation. So I'll just let you know what the situation is. The situation is we got to pull the intake back off of this thing. Because while I was under there wiring up the fuel system and plumbing the fuel system, there's antifreeze dripping off of the starter. Like, well, maybe they spilt a little bit while I was hooking stuff up, but I started tracing it. It was coming down the oil pan rail off the block, and I took a look, and it's leaking from the front of the intake down the front of the block, down the pan rail to the starter. So the intake gaskets didn't get sealed very good around the coolant ports. It's a learning situation, and that's how we're doing it and how we're handling it. Nobody's mad, nobody cares, you know. It's fun. It's nuts and bolts. We get to tear back into a big block, no big deal.
We're gonna lose the shop.
Oh yeah, we're gonna lose the shop. Jacob, we better get this done. No,
Throw a chair.
it's not a big deal. It's just pulling the intake back off. We got to pull the distributor, but the engine hasn't been turned over. We just pull the distributor out, pop it right back in where it was. Not a big deal. It's a little bit of a setback because we're actually ready to fire this thing off. It's wired, it's plumbed. But all right, so here's the deal on the instrument panel. Jacob has been doing an awesome job in here, and but he was having an issue with the fuel gauge. The fuel gauge was not reading. I looked through some wiring diagrams. We even looked through 2 or 3 trucks out in my field of dreams that had dual tank set up, just to make sure we were actually tracing wires by eyeball, not doing the wiring diagram. And we couldn't figure out why it wasn't reading the fuel gauge, because this is a dual tank truck, but the fuel gauge wasn't reading correctly. Well, come to find out, somehow the wire from the fuel tanks got cut underneath on the frame. So we got that fixed. Let's see if this gauge lights up. Fuel's reading. Everything looks like it's working like it's supposed to.
Going across.
It went. Cycle it again.
On the bright side, with this much fuel pressure, a leak is going to be evident.
Ready?
I think we're ready.
Go for it, bro.
They just let it idle. Everybody check for leaks and everything else. the temperature till it warms up. Whoop!
Fuel line. Yep. Fuel line ruptured. Hard line. Right here. It just started when I laid down. I didn't touch it.
Okay.
It just went.
Yay. Buff's under there.
Oh,
Sorry.
Temperature's coming up, so that sensor seems to be working.
What? Sorry, didn't know you was under there. I was looking for leaks. Huh? What? On the bright side, sounds good.
now that everybody's not under there.
Alright, so that's a big win for everybody. Yeah, these guys have put a lot of work in on this thing. I can't take but just a very small amount of credit for this part of it, because I really didn't have a whole lot to do with this, just a little bit, but yeah, it runs. And yeah, we're gonna probably heat cycle it one more time tonight and see what it does, but it's gonna have to do the self-learning thing. It's got to get up the temperature, probably drive it a little bit. We'll probably do that in the morning, drive it for a little bit, and then tomorrow will be Gear Vendors Day.
Yay!
Yeah, that's all me. Big thanks to Buff with Buff's Garage, Jacob back there with Busted Grill Garage, Shellman, and of course Brad with BNCO Designs. And for this guy's had to put up with this crew. Little shenanigans, little things here and there, learning lessons. That's what it's all about. Sometimes a little tension, but you know, that's part of working in a shop atmosphere, working with other guys. You know, none of us, I've worked with Jacob a little bit, I've worked with Shellman a lot, his whole life. You know, it's kind of a setting of a lot of guys not really familiar with working with each other and doing a big job like this. For us, for me, this is a pretty big job in this shop on a short amount of time.
We're not going to lose the shop.
We're not going to lose the shop.
Nope.
But I want to say one thing. I want to say thanks to all of you as well for taking the time to do this, for not just my vehicle, but for all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we all learned something here as well.
This is more than I've ever, like Chad was saying, this is more than I've ever jumped into. And jumping into the dash yesterday freaked me the heck out. But it turned out good.
Yeah.
It turned out good.
I mean, there's learning lessons along the way, and yeah, it was. I'm proud of all these guys, and thanks to Brad for trusting us, driving 400 miles down here and trusting us to do all this so he could drive back another 400 miles and make Big Booty Judy great again. That's the goal, and she's got a little more to go to be even greater, but we are going to make sure this is all good before we dive into the gear vendors part of it. So I think with that, guys, I'm going to call this one a win and call this end of day, what, 3?
3.
Yeah, day 3 of Big Booty Judy. So next time y'all keep your square bodies rolling, we'll catch you later.